30 years ago, the great dragon fell from the sky. I was a boy when the night of fire occurred. The night the very scales of a god crashed into the earth. From this night, from the death of a god, the harbinging occurred. A great, terrible cataclysm. The death of the dragon sent ripples into the world. Plagues, famine, needless war, the collapse of society as we know it. Everything the dragon guarded against. The dragon is now feared as an ill omen, a deity of corrupted pride. Many cursed his name. Several bear his banner as a conqueror struck down too soon, but few revere him as he was. I have found that truth, and I revere him as he was. A being of resilience, of fortitude, of determination, of valor and sacrifice. The great dragon, Ta-na-ith, the dragon forsaken. Passage from the Commentaries of the Knights of Fire, a book written by an unknown author describing the events that happened before, during, and after the death of the dragon god Ta-na-ith, a god of valor, fortitude, self-determination, and above all, sacrifice. A god whose worship has been twisted, tainted by those who rose up during the years of the harbinging and taken him as a conqueror, a being strucken down before he could commit his greatest act. A being many now worship out of fear, if they worship him. A being where many flock to him to try and gain some credence of stature because of who they associate with. A god now dead. The harbinging destroyed the world for 5 years. The harbinging saw the collapse of civilization, endless death be a war or plague, and a new magic being feared because of those who used it and twisted it. A magic that was once only used in reverence and as a gift to the champions of the great dragon, Ta-na-ith. We as people have an innate way of sharing ideas with one another. Oftentimes it is through literature, through oral vocation. These sharings of ideas, of events, are stories. A innately human thing is creation of art, whatever kind of art, be it a painting hung up on the walls of the Sistine Chapel, or a simple leather-bound book sitting on a shelf in a library waiting for a young boy or girl to pick it up and read In the Hole There Was a Hobbit. Creating stories is an innately human thing, and I, for almost 10 years, have been trying to make my own story. On this channel, you probably know me as an amateur storyteller, where I use video games as a medium to share ideas. My chief example is my own roleplay series with Eric Odison and The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. But that is a story that, while I do my own unique twist on, it's not entirely my own. Skyrim as a game has a preset story, preset quest lines that do have options to roleplay and complete them in unique ways, but overall, getting to point A and point B is usually the same. And a gripe that I often have with Skyrim, as much as I love the game, is how once you start the main quest, it railroads you into completing it as quick as possible. But it's a quest that I love dearly. Who else doesn't want to be the fabled dragonborn savior of the world to defeat the harbinger of the end times? Now that little passage that I read earlier, and the events that I have dropped the Harbinging. Skyrim is innately an influence in my own work, as well as The Witcher, How to Train Your Dragon, and The Lord of the Rings. You're probably wondering, why am I making this video? Why am I talking about something that doesn't even exist yet? Well, for the most part, I love sharing stories, and I've always dreamt of sharing my own unique story with others and have them enjoy it. And so this video is the start of sharing my process of world building a book. The process of creating and sharing a fantasy world that is inspired by other works, but at the end of the day is my own. Something that I can say I made this and I shared it with others and I enjoyed the process. And I like to believe that as fans of the channel, you enjoyed the process as well. You like hearing how these things come about. And I've always wanted to share. I always want to tell my own stories. And this is something that I've been trying to do for 10 years, but never managed to get off of the ground until recently, where I finally managed to come up with an idea, an inciting incident, not just for a character's story, but for an entire world. And I've been jumping off ever since. Every question I ask leads me to more questions and enriches the world, but I know I can't think of everything, and so I share my ideas with you. The Night of Fire was an event that happened between two gods, a battle, really. Strymir, the god of storms, and Tarnareth, the god of dragons in valor. These two clashed, and according to the world, Tarnareth fell and died at Strymir's hands. And upon his death, the Harbinging occurred, the main driving force behind every action that takes place within the book that I'm planning on writing. The Harbinging was a 5-year-long event where plague, famine, war, everything you can think of to drive the collapse of civilization occurred. And every question that I ask about, every question that I think about, drives me to ask more questions, both before these two key events and after. But I would like your all's help. And if you want to continue hearing the process, I would ask that you subscribe to the channel. I have never once in a video asked people to subscribe to the channel. I know it's a YouTube thing, and it's just something that I never really considered doing myself, but I ask that you do subscribe to the channel so that way I can see that this is something you would like to see more of. My process of writing a book and telling the story. And I also ask that you leave a comment on this video asking your own type of questions. Pretty much anything goes, since this is technically a new project, even though I have been working on bits and pieces here and there over the past 10 years, but I would very much like to hear what you have to say. Any question is pretty much good to go, except anything that deals with the no-no stuff that YouTube doesn't like to talk about in children. But questions such as, how do societies react, or how did societies react to the Harbinging? What do people currently think of about the Harbinging or other events, such as what happened to Strymir after the Harbinging? Stuff like, how do certain societies act? What are certain cultures like? What is some of the geography? Any question that you have about the world itself, please, I want to hear, because those questions can lead me to deeper and deeper questions which will just enrich the process. And if you do want to see more of this type of video, I do ask that you leave a like, because it lets me know that, hey, you're on to something, keep doing it. as for those that mainly subscribe for the roleplay, don't worry, they're still going to happen, just I'm probably going to be doing it at an even less frequency because, well, this is the main thing that I'm trying to work on. And if that's something that turns you off, then I understand. I mean, you subscribe to me for the roleplays, and I'm trying to write a book, and I'm going to be talking about the process of world building more on the channel, so if that's something that turns you off, then by all means, I don't blame you. But world building is a hobby that I greatly enjoy, and it's something that I feel that I can talk about, especially the process of it. And I'm by no means a professional. I'm very much an amateur, but I have the passion for it, and I want to share that passion with you all. So if you do want to continue seeing more of this type of content, me just talking about world building and the creation of an original story, then by all means, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment asking what you would like to see more. What kind of questions do you have? Pretty much anything goes. Since this is a world in the making, any type of question is pretty much on the table, except for those two that I mentioned before. Leave a like on the video, so that way it lets me know that you are interested in seeing more. I will say, the next thing that I will be talking about in this little series that I'm doing now will be the magic system. And if you couldn't have guessed by the little parable from the beginning of the video, it has to deal with the dragon god Tarnareth and something that happened during his fall. It's a magic system that I got a good mindset on the moment. If you know anything about writing, it's a hard magic system for the most part, but it does have some softer elements to it. And I plan on creating 2 magic systems. This harder one that I'm currently working on, and I will talk about in the next iteration of this type of video series, and a softer one which I haven't really started working on yet because a lot of my attention is currently on this harder magic system. But I want to talk about this. I want to share it with you, and I want to see what you think of that could help me enrich this even more, because I know there are questions that I should be asking that I just don't think of. And by sharing this with you all, you can help me find those questions. And I'll leave with a few questions that I've asked about the Harbinging, so that way you can get an idea of what I'm currently working with. The Harbinging, as I've stated, was an event that happened 30 years prior to the planned start of this book. But what exactly caused the Harbinging? Well, it was the death of Tarnareth, the dragon god of valor, fortitude, determination, leadership, and sacrifice. What took place as a result was a period of 5 years that the world entered into a destabilization state. Plagues, war, collapse of civilization, famine, anything you can think of pretty much happened. But how did it end? Well, not to give away too much, as I do want to hold some of my cards, and also I'm working on the ideas itself and haven't fully solidified them. But the Harbinging, in a religious sense, ended with a council of gods to spread about the domains that Tarnareth had left behind after his death. And this council of gods believed that by spreading out his domains to others, it would prevent another Harbinging from occurring if one of them were to die. Because they found out that, hey, we can die, and something like this happens when we die. Foreshadowing, possibly, but the immediate aftermath of the Harbinging resulted in the worship of Tarnareth becoming taboo. The god of valor turned from a symbol of strength to fear, as warring people use his very symbol and the magic often related to him to their own means of end. A brutal and cruel man, notably in the lore, was chiefly responsible for this. But some still worship Tarnareth as he was, a god of valor, fortitude, leadership, determination, and sacrifice. And some still believe that he isn't truly dead. He is severely wounded, recovering, and waiting for the day for him to rise again. But who's to say is the exact truth? As 30 years have happened, and 5 years of plague, and just wiping out a population and knowledge, if you look at our own history with the bubonic plague, can really set people back in more ways than one. The other notable event is the Night of Fire. What exactly caused the Night of Fire? Well, scholars believe that something happened between Strimir and Tarnareth, the god of storms and the god of dragons, caused them to clash against one another. And it began with this clash, and the battle resulted in Tarnareth's death and the Harbinging. Many believe that Tarnareth was the aggressor to Strimir and not the other way around. People now twist the worship of Tarnareth, as I previously discussed. And dragons, which are creatures in the world where several had above human intelligence, now most high and sulk in mountains and caves all across the world, and have the intelligence of a dog or a toddler, so below human intelligence. And that is pretty much all that I have thought of so far, other than the magic system, which I will delve in at a later date. But please leave any and all questions in the comment section below. I really appreciate it. And consider subscribing to the channel to see more of these videos where I talk about the process of world building, and also leave a like if this is something that you want to see more of. When will the next video be? I don't know, but it will be on the magic system, and I am excited to talk about it because I think it's a very cool and intriguing magic system that not a lot of people have thought of. With that all said, I've been Type 1 Dragon, you all have been awesome, and I can't wait to see where this journey takes me as a writer and as a entertainer. Because at the end of the day, we all just want to share our stories and have people enjoy them. So until next time, as always, Huzzah, Undun, good travels out there.